The fourth chapter has finally been released, and it brought with it many mysteries, unexpected plot twists, and important elements of the lore. In the coming week, we will thoroughly analyze all of its secrets, but today I want to focus on the most crucial part, the mysterious and shocking ending. In this breakdown, we will carefully look at the key moments of the finale, all the surprising revelations, as well as the hints about what might await us in the fifth chapter. At the very beginning of Chapter 4, we set off to explore the caves while Poppy tries to find Kissy Missy. Soon we arrive at a mysterious prison where we meet our new ally, Doughman, a toy person who turns out to be the guardian of the last safe haven where the surviving toys have hidden. After a brief moment of joy among them, we discover that some of them can heal Kissy Missy's wounds. Yes, she survived and has been here with us all this time. However, we can't stay safe for long. Soon, we face a new task, to get Dr. Sawyer's hand. But to reach him, we must confront his ominous pet and defeat it. Only then can we gain access to the private generator, which must be cut off. Otherwise, it will shut down, and the prototype will be able to break in and destroy everything in its path. After completing this mission, Poppy reveals the true goal of our journey. We must infiltrate the factory's depths and destroy it by planting explosives on the lowest levels. However, upon returning to the safe haven, we find that while we were gone, the prototype managed to break in. It stole our explosives, destroyed the haven, and killed everyone Doughman was trying to protect. This becomes a turning point. Doughman can't take it anymore, snaps, and turns against us. In a fit of rage, Doughman undergoes a terrifying transformation, becoming a monster. We must endure a tense chase and a final battle with him. In the end, we manage to destroy him by crushing him. After that, we set off to search for survivors. The ventilation system leads us to Poppy and Kissy, who manage to hide and survive, but it's too soon to rejoice. At this moment, Poppy tries to contact Ollie, a mysterious character who only appears a few times throughout the game. However, when she gets in touch with him, Ollie unexpectedly reveals our location in ventilation block B6. Soon, it becomes clear that Ollie never existed. All this time, the prototype had been mimicking his voice, deceiving us and gaining Poppy's trust. After the revelation, the prototype offers Poppy to join him. Terrified, she runs away, leaving us alone with Kissy. Soon, the prototype uses the explosives he stole earlier to destroy the building. In the aftermath of the explosion, all we find is a horrific sign, Kissy's severed hand lying next to us amid the ruins. We head to the final and possibly most mysterious location in the game, the laboratory. The first thing that catches the eye is an astonishing garden entirely covered in poppies. These flowers are symbolic of the game as they are connected to the earliest experiments of Playtime Corp. Among the poppies, we discover a small room containing the final VHS tape. It contains a recording of Life Pierre, a factory employee. It's a twisted parody of the instructions we hear in the first chapter, but now his tone is much darker. Life tells us a terrifying truth. Anyone who enters the laboratory will be immediately eliminated by security. But just as the message ends, we are interrupted by a sudden attack. A huge figure with blue fur crashes through the glass and charges at us. It's HUGGY WUGGY, the legendary antagonist from the first chapter. However, now he looks different. His body is covered in scars, and in some places there are bandages as though someone had been treating him after a fall. But let's return to Poppy. She was devastated when she realized that Ollie, with whom she had been talking all this time, was actually the prototype. In complete confusion, she asked, "Did Ollie ever exist?" To which the prototype coldly responded, "Yes, once, a long time ago." This moment is particularly interesting because during the fourth chapter, we found a VHS tape with a recording of a conversation between Poppy and Ollie. In this recording, a terrified and sobbing Poppy complains that the scientists keep reopening her body, taking parts out and then putting them back in. At this point, Ollie tries to comfort her. But who was this Ollie? Was it real friendship or a clever manipulation by the prototype which had been deceiving Poppy for years? This question remains without a definitive answer. However, one thing is certain. Now that her only friend is gone, the prototype knows everything about Poppy. But why was this necessary? Later in their conversation, the prototype clearly reveals his intentions. He says, "I'll rise up, find you and your allies, those few you still have, and finish them off." His threat is clearly aimed at the player and at Kissy. Poppy, in fear, asks, "What are you going to do with me?" And his response is chilling. "I've prepared something special for you. Where I'm going to send you, you won't want to leave." These words clearly reference events from the first chapter when Poppy was trapped in a glass container, desperately longing to escape. Perhaps it was the prototype who trapped her there. And now, with the opportunity back in his hands, he plans to lock her away again. But this time, in a place from which there will be no escape at all. This moment completely changes our understanding of the prototype's motives. But why is he so obsessed with Poppy? The prototype seems to hint at a shared past with Poppy. Perhaps he believes they are similar, that she is part of him, or that she should be on his side. But when Poppy realizes this, she panics, screams, and runs away, leaving us alone with Kissy Missy and the impending disaster. This escape seems like a betrayal from Poppy at a critical moment. She just leaves us, abandoning us to fate. But is that really the case? During the chase with Doughie, we could notice a detail on the wall, a red VHS tape. After the battle ends and the tape is played, a new recording begins in which Poppy talks to herself, reflecting on the prototype. In her voice, we can hear fear and despair, as though she's realizing something horrifying. Poppy's voice trembles as she repeats the prototype's words, "We can't leave. Not now. Not ever." And then she screams. She says she hates him and she hates this place, but she acknowledges that the prototype is right. Her words make it clear that at one point Poppy really wanted to escape the factory, but the prototype managed to convince her that it was impossible. He explained something that changed her perspective on the situation. In the recording, we hear her say, "We can't leave. It's too risky. What they did to us, we can't let it happen again, to anyone." This recording clears up a lot. Poppy truly realized that their existence was the result of monstrous experiments. If anyone found out the truth about the factory, similar experiments could be repeated, possibly in even more horrifying forms. And now it becomes clear why she chose the path of destruction for the factory. In her eyes, destroying this place was the only way to break the vicious cycle. Also, during her reflections, Poppy recalls her father, Elliot Ludwig. In one of the recordings, she says, "I wish you were here, Dad. I miss your advice so much. When you ran this place, you always knew what to say." This moment reveals an important detail. Elliot Ludwig was indeed Poppy's father. It's not just a coincidence of names or a theoretical assumption, it's now a confirmed fact. But if Ludwig was her father, does that mean he himself turned her into a doll? Or was he trying to save her, but the experiment got out of control? Perhaps his obsession with bringing toys to life was driven not by a thirst for scientific breakthroughs, but by deeply personal motives. However, the main secret hidden within the laboratory is not related to the flowers, but to the children. Earlier in the game, Poppy mentioned that the prototype keeps sleeping orphans here. This means that deep within the lab, there are children who have been subjected to experiments. Possibly their minds are blocked while their bodies are stored in special capsules. Now, our goal is clear. Find them and save them. But it won't be easy. On our way, we'll face two final threats. The prototype, whose shadow we briefly saw earlier, and the return of HUGGY WUGGY. Most likely, this is how the next 5th chapter will begin, while the 4th chapter ends, leaving us with many unanswered questions that we'll have to find answers to.